Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Comic Book Gold with myself and my guest, Mr. Peter Gilmore. Hey,
Hello.
Peter, how you doing?
Hey, good man. Good. We get to talk about stuff.
Talk about stuff, indeed. It's good to see you getting in the scary spirit already for Halloween.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's a gorilla mask there next to the pumpkin, and I put another pumpkin inside it that's flashing, and you can't see it. You can vaguely see it twinkling.
Yeah.
Never mind. You'll live and learn.
Yeah. I've yet to be bitten by the Halloween spirit.
Yeah. Well, I ordered all my stuff from Tesco, so I had to order it all now. Otherwise, I'll never get it.
Yeah. I'm just up the street for Poundland, so I'll just go down there and grab some things.
Oh yeah, I've got to go there next week to do that show I do with Mandy.
Oh, you doing another one of the?
We're doing the Halloween one, yeah. So next week, I think Monday, I'm going to go and buy a ton of Poundland Halloween crap.
Right, yeah. It is good for that, though. I think that's bound to be Poundland winner that show.
I think the best one, from the last one we did, the best one we found, it was like a little cuddly kind of cat. And the label on it said owl toy. that sums up Poundland.
Yep, it's quite brilliant. I'm glad it's there. Okay, so, right, I'm just going to have a quick look. I shall do this. If StreamYards would actually do what I wanted to do. Here we go.
There you go.
StreamYards is turning into Twitter today. Twitter's not been doing anything I wanted to do today. No retweets or anything.
No, they keep breaking it. They've changed them, but let's not get into it. I don't like it. I fear change.
Indeed. So I'm just having a check, see who we've got with us today. We've got Peeps is back. Hey, people, how you doing? Cap, being Cap, of course.
Bumdy bum bum.
Yeah. And saying hello to everybody and being as nice and cordial as usual is the fantastic Statistical Zero, Stato.
Evening, Stato.
And some strange American person has popped in as well. Mr. Wyatt Holiday there. Hey, Wyatt. And I'm sure there's a few other people that are lurking and watching us as well, so that's cool.
Oh, yeah.
So, so let's get started then. This is Comic Book Gold, and it's all about you, Peter, and it's all about your influences, comic books and otherwise. What's the kind of years we're looking between here? What were the big years for all the influences?
I don't know. It's kind of got to go, I think, mostly from the sort of around about 75, at the tender age of 5, through to kind of late 80s, early 90s.
Right, okay. Cool.
And, from then on, it was all just, I know what I like now. I know what I like, and I like what I know.
Because I put together a wee slide here, which was like, I was just thinking of it myself, because I know we have a lot of the same kind of touchstones when it comes to comics and everything and kind of cultural things. And I just quickly kind of thought to myself, if I was to throw together a wee timeline of stuff from the 76 into like about the early 80s, and I remember buying Monster Mag. I don't know, that might have been just before your time, and that was a fold-out poster of Hammer horror and horror stuff. I believe I do
remember it. I'm sure I remember it. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the issues actually got banned. It was seized at customs and destroyed.
Oh, really?
Because it was considered obscene. Yeah, and it was really just special effects. It was like Fangoria before Fangoria. Yeah. And that led on to the House of Hammer, which I know we're going to be talking about.
We certainly are.
Led on to Starburst, 2000 AD, Battle Commando. The thing I wanted to do with putting this kind of image together is just to try and explain to people just how eclectic and weird the 70s into the 80s were in the UK for comics, because pretty much anything went, and there was every kind of genre. And although a lot of them were age group sort of like specific for children, adults were reading them as well, like teenagers, young adults, students were reading them too, and the people writing them knew that. And also threw in an issue of Sounds there, because that was the magazine or newspaper for music that the cool kids read. All the posers read the NME and the cool kids read the Sounds.
Exactly.
So I threw that in there as well, because that was punk. Even when there was no punks in it, that was punk. So I just threw this together just as a kind of like this is a kind of era that we're probably going to be concentrating on. And
to be honest, I'd completely forgotten about Sounds until you showed me just before we came live, and I was like, "Oh God, yeah, Sounds."
Yeah, you probably bought it without even thinking at the time.
Yeah,
because originally they were printed like newspapers, and you would fold them, just like you were buying like the Daily Record or the Sun or something like that. Yeah, a really cheap paper. And they also had comic strips in it, because they had like somebody will probably talk about it later on, although I don't think we have them here. Axel Press Button. But yeah, it was a very interesting and creative time. Very brown as well.
Yeah, there's some blue there. Look. Yeah. I mean, look at that! Look at that Lucan. You've got Planet of the Apes and Slade.
Yes, that Lucan, because that's Lucan for anybody who's not from the UK. Lucan had comic strips inside it, drawn by really good illustrators. That would do about 2 or 3 pages per strip, and they were essentially tied into whatever was being released on the ITV, which is like an independent TV channel at the time. We only had 3, then 4 channels at that time, and they were used to promote pop groups, rock groups, TV shows, and films. And so it'd be a combination of like articles, interviews, and comic strips. And the age group, they were aimed at like kind of like young kids to teenagers. But again, the comics kind of drew everybody in, and that was the main reason why I would buy Lucan.
Yeah, it was an interesting magazine. And they do a lot of kind of advertising for like TV shows that were coming up and stuff like that as well. It'd be in there and weird.
Yeah, in many ways, a lot of your kind of like the magazines that you get now to do with like entertainment, this was like your prototype for all those magazines.
Yeah. That's...
But for kids.
Yeah. And if you can ever, like, I don't know if you can find copies online to look at, but it's a whole new world.
I think you can. Here we go. We better give Mark his due.
Oh yeah.
And get everything in there.
I mean, if you're over on the other side of the pond and you want to understand people like me and Wally, just go and find some copies of Lucan to read online.
And you'll realise what our childhood was like.
Yeah.
And Lucan, packet and Winston Munch, and a Lucasade. There you go.
Exactly. Yeah, and then go and hang around by some trees or some dirt and dig holes and throw things at things you shouldn't throw things at.
Well, what was it I found just the other day as well? Again, it's not lying here, but I found my old penknife. Because back in the day, every kid carried a knife.
Oh, yeah. I had a penknife, and then I went on holiday with the parents to Wales, as you do. And me and my mate who lived
the caravan usually.
Yeah, we were inseparable. So when I went on holiday, he'd come with us, and we found this this Sunday morning market, and we found a stall selling World War II stuff. So of course we both came away with SAS daggers. And holy crap! Yeah, I mean mine survived. His mum found his and took it away. It was like a 9-inch blade, you know.
It was an odd time. There were a lot of, like you say, daggers, dirks, katanas, and bayonets about.
Throwing stars, ninja throwing stars.
Throwing stars, ninja. And if you didn't have any of those, genuinely, you made your own using the blades that you would use for a Stanley knife.
Yes.
So you could take the blades of a Stanley knife, some masking tape, and you can make your own ninja throwing star.
Dude, I made a Freddy Krueger glove with those blades.
Oh, God.
And I got in so much trouble because I went down the whole street and lopped the flower heads off all the gardens. Well, I didn't really get in much trouble because I don't think they found out. But I remember there was a big fuss about it, and my parents were like, "Oh, who's done that?" And I'm like, "I don't know, some hooligan." It was me.
It was.
Me
It was
with
you,
with a gardening glove with like Stanley knife blades taped to it.
Freddie Gilmore.
That was me.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, I'm enough to haunt anyone's nightmares.
Anyways, guys, it's well, Wizard and Chips. I brought this up because I thought I'd start when you were. Obviously, this is what you were reading when you were awfully young.
Oh yeah, I probably
yeah.
wasn't even that young. I probably kept reading it, thinking about it. But
Yeah, I kind of did as well. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, like I was saying, I mentioned I got this friend who lived across the road, and he will come up a lot in this because we used to. So you got like the Beano and the Dandy. You got Whizzer and Chips, and like the Beezer was another one. So he'd like get 2 of those every week, and I get the other 2, and then we just read them together. You know.
Yeah. You'd also get the Topper as well. Don't know if you remember the Topper.
Topper. Didn't that? One of them ended up like amalgamating with another one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember the Topper because it was like a high-end newspaper. It was like double the size of
It was
any other
massive,
comic.
yeah.
It was
Yeah,
huge,
it was like a broadsheet thing, huge, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yep.
Although thinking about it now, it probably wasn't that big. We were just little.
I think that probably was true, yeah. But it made a really good sword if you were going to have a fight. You had to roll it up. It was a particularly good one to go with.
Yeah. We used to wrap them around garden canes.
Yeah. That'll do it.
as though that'd soften it any.
Yeah. This is like, I don't know, American comics that didn't really have the same kind of anarchic characters that we had in ours. They were a bit more sedate.
All the characters and things like Wizard and Chips and the Beano and whatever were all. There was never a goody kind of perfect kind of. I'd like look at the difference between the American Dennis the Menace and ours. You know, I mean, he was the American one. He was, he got up to stuff, but nothing like Dennis and Nasher did. Our Dennis and Nasher.
No, it was Dennis the Cheeky as opposed to Dennis the Menace, I would say.
Yeah, our Dennis was. He did some nasty stuff to Walter.
Yeah, I know. He was asking for it though.
Walter was a posh kid, though. He was a softie.
He was indeed. None of this stuff, all this stuff has been retconned these days. I don't think they do anything like that in the comics, but that's a shame. But I do notice one of the characters in the second issue there, you see up there, has got a black eye. So there was lots of violence and hijinks. There was.
Yeah. I just had stuff like, this kid's got a snake. How? And his parents are cool with that. That's fine. just don't get stuff like this at all anymore. Really, it's all. You don't.
Everything is anodyne now. It's all cleaned up to a point of there's no real point in having it.
Plus, I don't think there's anything that's got like, I mean, because Wizard and Chips would be like what 10 stories maybe, something like that. Different characters, all different characters on each one. I don't think there's anything like that either, is there? Really?
I don't think so.
I think is the Beano still going?
The Beano's still going. The Dandy went digital a few years ago and it failed. So that's kind of like this. You're just going to get the Dandy annuals and specials and stuff like that now. I'm pretty sure the Beano's still going, but the packet with so many giveaways and toys and stuff, that seems to be the thing now, so to get kids to buy it. Whereas in our day, we bought it for the stories and for reading them.
Well, I mean, occasionally you get stuff with them, but you wouldn't buy it for that.
No, it seems like it's like every week now you get stuff packaged in with it.
Yeah, I think the first thing I ever remember doing that was maybe the original Star Wars comics. I think they were the first ones I really saw doing that. There you go.
There you go. As if I've planned this.
In fact, you can see. Yeah. I've actually got every issue.
Oh, that'd be nice. So I get rid of all mine. That's one thing I really kind of annoyed about was I get rid of all my British reprint comics, and I wish I kept them all now.
No, I've got
I traded them in. I would trade them in for like credit in comic shops, and they would give me more in credit than they would in money. So it would allow me to buy new comics. So.
It always made me laugh. That cover there, the one in the bottom left, issue 1.
Yeah.
Came with the free, and you can see it just behind, can't you? The little cutout.
The X-Fighter.
Well, they call it the X-Fighter. It's like, No.
Well, none of these.
Even a child, I knew that was wrong.
Yeah, it's like nobody really knew how big it was going to be again, did they? So everything was kind of like they were working from the original shooting script before the film was finished, when they were doing the comic and everything.
Oh, this is it. I mean, and when it came out, it was on every newspaper, every magazine, Star Wars. I've still got like all the like the center pages from the Mirror from back in 1977. I've still got all that stuff. Yeah,
brilliant.
There's some, and it's so much of it is so wrong. Like they spell Obi-Wan Kenobi wrong, and it's like there's one article where they're saying Obi-Wan's like Princess Leia's dad or something. It's just no, because they were all speculating on stuff, and there was no internet, so
I had that issue as well, but also I had did you get the Treasury? Because you could get the Treasury edition, which had all the issues that made up the movie adaptation. I remember getting that as well. The first issue is Howard Chaykin just doing Howard Chaykin, but afterwards it's Howard Chaykin just doing the layouts, and then he's inked in a more traditional manner.
Yeah. And then kind of when The Empire Strikes Back came out, they changed the name of the comic, which confused everyone. Yeah. Briefly, they changed to Empire Strikes Back Weekly. It was like,
it's daft.
But it was great, and of course we used to have Jackson, the giant green bunny.
See, I find this exciting. This is, to this day, this is still my favorite Star Wars story in any of the comics.
Yeah, fantastic. Then I mean, there was what was that character? Bucky O'Hare. Remember Bucky O'Hare?
Yeah, he was a rip-off of Jackson.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, a lot of people. I was arguing actually a couple of weeks ago with someone about this. I was saying, nope, Jackson came first, and he did. He came first by about 6 months, I think, or a year, if that.
Yeah, but he definitely came first.
There's been talk of bringing him back.
In the current climate, I don't know if that's good or not, but I've always wanted to see him as brought back as a character.
I wish
even just in the background of one of the movies, it would have been great.
There was a woman who used to hang around with him as well, but she used to wear like very little. But that was okay back then. That was okay. They wouldn't do it now.
That was fine because they were just pals.
Yeah.
But what I loved about this was. One of my favourite movies was The Magnificent Seven, and of course this was like a Star Wars comic doing The Magnificent Seven with a giant green rabbit.
Why not?
Yeah,
why not? I'm just looking at it now, and I'm trying to remember. I can't remember half the names of the characters. That weird hedgehog dude with a cloak. Don't know what he's about.
No, I can't remember them myself. But it does. It also put me in mind of. I don't know if you saw a film that Empire Movies did, sort of like called The Eliminators. It was one of these Charles Band kind of like movies, and it had like the Mandroid in it, and they sort of like it was like the kind of robot guy, which you just see at the back there on the cover, where he's got the tracks instead of legs. And it had the kung fu guy, and just these kind of weird characters. Really low budget movie, and it seemed to be a thing that I kind of go to for like if they didn't have an idea for a story, they'd be like, let's band everybody together like the Dirty Dozen or the Magnificent Seven and do a story. Yeah, but this is one of the better ones, definitely.
There was obviously a lot more leeway back then to just add your own things to it, though. Obviously with Jackson. But I mean, if you look at on that page on the right there, look at that spaceship in the top. That's like half Millennium Falcon, half like Slave One. Very cool. And it's been flown by a giant green rabbit in an orange jumpsuit.
Yeah, of course, with a half-naked assistant.
With a half-naked, wearing suspenders and stockings, as you would.
As you would. For your kids' comics.
Yeah, in a kids' comic. Fantastic.
It was 1977. What a year.
The thing is now with modern comics, it'd be a dude in suspenders and stockings, and that'd be fine.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. See, this is another one. This is, Doctor Who comic. Fantastic. Well, Doctor Who Weekly.
Doctor Who Weekly. This was kind of unique as well, because for me anyway, I was like, this is totally different, because this was like a Marvel UK tying in with the BBC to do a Doctor Who comic, and actually getting real talent involved in creating it. Really good strips, really well drawn.
I mean, a lot of these things we're going to talk about, like we're going to talk about the Hammer comic and stuff as well. It's the same thing. And like I said to you just before we went live, there was a time in the sort of, I don't know, mid 70s to early 80s when I swear there was only like 5 artists in the whole world, because they were all working on all the, like, you know, Marvel, DC, Doctor Who comic, Hammer horror comic. It was all the same people popping up. 2000 AD.
There were like a whole lot of artists that worked across certain titles at IPC, and it became Fleetway and DC Thompson, and you didn't even know their names a lot of the time, especially DC Thompson, because they never allowed their names to be published. With the exception of Ian Kennedy, who did all the covers for the Commando books and that. He was always allowed to put his name on them. And but with the IPC ones, they started allowing them to sign their names. So you would see names like Carlos Escuera, you would see people, and you start to link names with the artists. And of course, with the House of Hammer and stuff, and with the Doctor Who Weekly, they gave us credits. I was always just fascinated by the artists, and probably followed comics more for the artists than I did for the characters in a lot of cases.
But I mean, look at that Iron Legion there. There's Romans, there's tanks, there's you know,
everything you couldn't do in a low budget episode of Doctor Who, they did in one page.
This is it. They literally, it'd be like, oh right, so he's a time travel, right? Well, in that case, we're going to have Nazis, Romans, and spacemen, and a dinosaur. You know, just throw it all in, and why not? It's great. It's fantastic. That's one of my biggest problems with these newer series of Doctor Who is it's just so boring. Pedestrian and come on. You've got better technology now. Do better stuff.
Yep. And there was a time, like with the first few seasons, when they were under stride with where they actually did kind of do stuff like this. But the last few seasons, so it's the last 3 years, 3 or 4 years, it's just they've kind of lost the plot.
It's
I still think this is better than Watchmen. As Dave Gibbons' work on this is better than Watchmen.
Well, yeah, and then of course you've got Absalom Dark, Dalek Killer. That dude was badass. Yeah, he was like
Steve Dillon did the artwork for that.
Yeah. It's just look at him, he's badass. He just like leaps at a Dalek, smacks its head off, and then he's all over his ponytail and his arm again. Like, dude.
Again, this was something that they couldn't do on TV. This was like the kind of sensibilities coming from the sort of the indie side of comics, meeting the mainstream and giving us characters that would never have fitted in Doctor Who, but they're working in the comics.
You can see like a lot of how close it is to like 2000 AD and stuff like that. Very. You could this Iron Legion story. You could have just put that in 2000 AD, and no one would have known. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it would have fit in perfectly. I don't know if they've taken Absalom Dark beyond this. They probably have. I've lost. I don't
know.
Track with the Doctor Who stuff.
Did Doctor Who ever turn up in 2000 AD? I know he wouldn't have been called Doctor Who, but did he?
Yeah, he would have been called Professor somewhere or something like that.
I've got it in my head somewhere that I swear I've seen Tom Baker and Judge Dredd in the same panel. I swear I have.
You probably have. Yeah, and he's probably getting arrested by him.
I've got a fair idea that Tom Baker offered Judge Dredd a jelly baby. I'm sure he did.
Right, okay.
I'm sure. I'm going to have to search that because that might be just in my mind. In which case, someone give me a job because I've got an awesome idea for you.
That's it. Talking about awesome ideas. 2000 AD. Okay.
Look, I mean, what can you say? This was our thing over here. This was our comic. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Anything went in 2000 AD.
I was more drawn towards Judge Dredd, but I mean the other stuff like Slaying and But I mean, look at that! Look at them Dark Judges. How cool are they?
Yeah, phenomenal.
I mean, I was always drawn to the characters and the situations more than it's like there'd be a different artist every like month or whatever, wouldn't there? So you'd have a different style of him, but I'd be drawn to the characters. Like, look at those, the belly wheels, the fatties and the belly wheels. That's fantastic. That's such a cool idea. And I was so pleased that it was in that last Dread movie. There was actually a fatty with a belly wheel. That was awesome.
Yeah. What was awesome, because I think we were talking about this before we went live as well, was completely different styles of artists. You can see that on this page here. And they would be working on the same storyline. You a couple of weeks you get Ron Smith drawing it, and then a couple of weeks suddenly Mike McMahon would be drawing it, and then it would go on. Maybe you'd have like Brian Boland coming on. Completely different styles, but it didn't matter.
A little bit of Bisley creeping in as well every now and then.
Aye, and you just like the fact that you could see how these different artists interpreted all this world.
But it also fitted. It all went together. Do you know what I mean? It was because the iconic designs. Yeah,
it did.
I mean, you look at the fatties there. The guy in the pink with the blonde hair. I'm sure I read that he's pretty much based on Marlon Brando. That's Marlon Brando.
Now you say that, it looks like Marlon Brando.
Yeah. Fairly certain that's who he was based on. But there used to be so much of that in there. You would get celebrities popping up in like a Judge Dredd story for no reason whatsoever. They'd be there for like two panels and gone.
Yep. And just the idea of you're creating a character who essentially is a fascist, so that you can write a satirical strip every week in a kid's comic book, and you never show his face. Because if you showed his face, that would humanize him, and you don't want to humanize this character. It was just a brilliant idea.
Yeah, I mean, and damn that Stallone movie for taking the mask off. Yeah, idiot, taking the helmet off. Yeah,
yeah. I just imagine that's a Stallone movie, and I enjoy it for that. You know.
Yeah, I mean, these are the images I sent you because this is the stuff. When I think 2000 AD, like I say, I always go to Dread first, and these are just like. From my childhood, these are the stories that stuck.
Well, they're good as well because what they do, these images show you all the supporting characters for Dread, and they all have you kind of understand the supporting characters in Dread a lot more than you can understand the character of Dread. Because you've got Chopper here, for instance, been introduced with his graffiti. You've got that character. You've got even Mean Machine and his family. You can understand them better as people than you can Dread, and I think that's a genius of the strip as well.
Yeah, I mean, Dread was a dick.
Oh, totally.
But he was badass, and you wanted to be him. You know?
Yeah, because when you were a kid, you wanted a lawgiver and a bike. That was for sure.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted ricochet bullets. That's all I wanted. And I always wondered how the hell, and you know, you'd wonder how the hell don't they hit Dread. But then there'd be a whole like, I don't know, 4 or 5 panels somewhere explaining why they don't, but in a cool way.
Yeah, and they did that with it. They did it inside the strip as well. It wasn't a case of like they had to put together a kind of a fact file. They would just stop the story to explain something in a pure kind of way, sort of like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy would do.
Yeah. I mean, having said that, they did do those as well, though. There's like blueprints and stuff, and I was fascinated by those. Like the blueprints of the lawmaster or the lawgiver.
Yeah,
fantastic.
That's true.
It was such a deep lore and universe.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. Which is why, you know, I mean, they kind of had the same thing with Batman and whatnot, but you can see why people get pissed off when they change stuff these days.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
Yep,
I mean, if they changed Dread, that'd be it. I'd riot.
Yeah.
I would riot.
I haven't read any Dread for a year, so I'm not too sure what it's like these days, but I can't imagine it's drifted too far from its original.
I mean, someone said it's gone a little bit wokey, but so some people read too much into things. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Equally. The slightest thing can set them off.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly. Because, I mean, to be honest, Dread always has been a wee bit wokey, because it's always had a wee bit of that kind of like a UK lefty sort of like political kind of like input in it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, yeah, it's nothing to be
I
worried
mean, I
about, I
don't
don't think.
Do you think we're kind of more accepting of stuff like that because of that sort of thing?
I think we are. Yeah, I think because.
I don't know, I wouldn't say accepting is the word, but just don't really care.
Yeah, I think because, well, speaking for myself, coming up in the 70s and 80s, everything was anti-establishment.
It was.
And it was kind of punk, and even though punk was, for the most part, kind of like an art school, kind of like a middle class type thing. In reality,
was Malcolm McLaren and Vivian Westwood, and it's like they weren't street.
Yeah, but we were buying Saxon albums and things like that, so that was really punk, even though people didn't accept it as punk.
Motorhead were the most punk band ever.
Exactly, Motorhead. So we were kind of listening to that kind of music, and everything was anti-establishment, and it was kind of like it was out there and like putting two fingers up at the royalty and politics, regardless of what side you were at. It was putting two fingers up at it, which is what's a wee bit different about today. And there's people that consider themselves.
Again, like 2000 AD, you'd have like a cameo by a politician, a British politician.
Yeah.
And he'd be getting his face trod into the ground by Dredd as he was being arrested,
Yes.
Like
it would have been whoever was in power,
Tony Benn mincing round in a French maid outfit, being arrested by Dredd for perversion or something. Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Although they did do that embarrassing Blair comic, didn't they?
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah. So, that's probably more woke than anything anybody's done these days. So there's always a wee blip here and there.
But you're forgiven.
Yeah, but Crisis as well.
And at least they were still drawn well.
Yeah, it was. I know. I mean, it's quality work. But Crisis. Did you ever read Crisis?
Yes, I think so. Well,
that was very political. Yeah. And Toxic was the one that Pat Mills did that had martial law in it.
Yeah, martial law. Yep.
An Accident Man. That was a great comic.
Fantastic. Yeah.
I'm surprised that even was allowed in a newsagent's. It was so extreme.
They used to sell porn mags. So,
right enough. In fact, that was just in newspapers back then.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, you got boobs on page 3.
You joined Lucifer, my man. Okay, so I brought this up, like, we've been talking to the idea, just jumped ahead a few years, because this was kind of like a landmark comic at the time. I don't think anybody quite realised just how good it was. I think the passage of time, you look at this and you just realise this is how you do a crossover, and this is how you kind of like allow an artist to just free rein to do his best work, I think.
Exactly. I mean, I always liked Bisley, but this book was just made me fall in love with Bisley. You know what I mean? His work. Look at that Batmobile. Look at it. That's fantastic. Yeah. That's amazing. And just that punch, Dredd getting punched in the face and blood and like fantastic.
Yeah, and People was on People Circus. He chose this as well as one of his choices.
Damn it!
We were talking about that, and I think it's like what I really liked about it was the fact that the writers had written both Dredd and Batman, so they understood both characters and they understood both worlds.
This is it.
And they were actually writing both Dredd and Batman at that time. So it wasn't a case of like two comics kind of like companies kind of like vying for their character getting the most space. They gave it to two writers who went, we can just do this. And they did. And they played around with the villains really well. And it was funny.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like it was.
And I guess Batman's kind of like, I mean, Dredd is like Batman if he went a little bit too far. Kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Same objectives, different means, different methods.
Did.
Yeah.
Christopher John.
I
think what's especially good about it, I just included these images you gave me. I should have put the Judge Anderson ones are terrific. I really like as Judge Anderson. She's a great character. She's probably the one fully rounded character in the Dread world, Judge Anderson.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely.
Although I always liked Judge Giant back in the day because I liked the fact he linked to the Harlem Heroes, and I liked the idea that they were linking their stories together that way.
There's so many awesome storylines from 2000 AD though. That like, and as you sit there, when I was sitting down thinking about it last night, I was just like, oh, what about Judge Caligula, and what about all that stuff?
Judge Caligula is mental. Is probably the only word you could use to describe Judge Caligula.
With the goldfish.
Crazy. Yeah.
And then you've got like the Angel Gang, and you could do 10 shows on Judge Dredd alone.
And then they would just do what is a straightforward kind of like apocalyptic sci-fi adventure. So you had the Apocalypse War, for instance, is just and it's all drawn by Carlos Esquire, which makes it really, really nice to read because you get this one artist, the guy that created the look of Judge Dredd, doing this whole story. Where you've got the Soviet bloc and the Mega City 1 going to war, and it was like
the Soviet bloc,
and it was just kind of like it was just huge and epic in a comic. You had 3 or 4 pages every week in the comic, and you just loved it.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, so much of an influence on me, like Judge Dredd and all these things. But like we were saying earlier, you read things and you remember things from your past, and you don't realize how much of an influence they do actually have on you. Like, something else we were going to talk about, like Bernie, Mr. Wrightson. Never really took on board how much he influenced the stuff I enjoy doing. But yeah. Oh, look, there you go.
as if by magic. Bernie Wrightson was like. So what was the first Bernie Wrightson you can remember seeing, if you can remember what it was?
Do you know what? I wouldn't have known it was him probably at the time because I'd have been young and not. I wouldn't put 2 and 2 together.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe that Black Cat there. What year was that? Maybe.
Yeah. Well, that would go Jings. That would have been creepy. So that might have been. But then again, it's the kind of thing's been reprinted that many times. It was reprinted in the PC comics. They did reprints of these, and coloured them.
The thing is, though, I used to pick up a lot of comics from like jumble sales and stuff like that, and so they could have been the originals. From,
yep.
Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean. Yeah, I had there was a newsagents near me that would I think they just sold off their old stuff. So I would go in there some days and they'd say, we've got these, and they pull out a pile of these comics for the late 60s, and I'd be like, Neil Adams X-Men, I'd be like, I'll be buying these, thank you very much.
It's like the first ever American comics. You don't need to jump to that yet, we'll stay on Wrightson for a bit. But the first ever American comics I bought, I think one was like Detective Comics 400. That was one of the very first ones. Well, it was the first comic I ever bought. And that came out in 1970, but I didn't buy it till 1977. So,
Yep. That's the same as me. I was reading a lot of the late 60s Marvel stuff in the late 70s.
Yeah, I mean, I ended up like from just like a crappy church fair thing. I ended up picking up a bunch of 1959 or 60 Iron Man, Captain America comics. Yeah, and still didn't know, what they were at the time, and I wish I'd still got them.
Yeah, it's funny because I was thinking about it earlier on today when I was putting together these slides. I was trying to remember where I bought some of these comics and magazines, and I realised most of them were just like for corner shops. Like within walking distance of where I stayed, and you kind of think to myself, you just can't imagine walking into your corner shop today and buying this kind of stuff.
No, exactly. Well, you wouldn't get this kind of stuff now, anyway, because everyone think it's all worth something, and they've just sold it on eBay.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, they wouldn't just be selling it for 5 and 10 pence to a small child.
Well, this is it. Even though that's what comics used to cost.
Yeah. Well, Swamp Thing, Bernie Wrightson did was of course his famous creation until he decided to adapt Frankenstein as a series of plates, illustrations in the book,
and they are the most stunning things ever.
Yeah, I think everybody's had a go at trying to create an image in the same kind of style. And
tried.
Yeah, I know I have. Yeah,
try comes kind of close, but no.
Yeah,
I just wish I had the time to do it, to try and do it properly. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I dread to think how long it took him to draw some of those. Like there's that big kind of double-sized thing with Frankenstein's monster, and you've got all the shelves with the bottles, and that image is insane. That must have taken him, I don't know, a month more.
Yep.
2 months probably.
Always show that image to my students just to terrify them. Terrify them and impress them at the same time. It
is. I mean, you look at it and you think, oh, that's cool, and then actually, do you want me to drag it up?
Yeah, you got that one.
I do believe. I mean, it's not a super high res one, unfortunately. But can I make this right? Let me go StreamYard, share screen, Chrome tab. That one, maybe? Has that shared it?
Yep.
I mean, let's have a little.
Yeah, that's share. Yeah, that's just.
Look at
amazing.
That.
Yeah.
Just. Damn it, you know?
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, that's astounding. And one of the big influences on. Hang on, let me stop sharing that. On me that I never realized was such an influence until later on. I was like, oh yeah, do you remember those fighting fantasy books like Warlock of Firetop Mountain and all those things?
Yeah, I never really bought any of those, but I remember them about it. I remember borrowing a few. You do swaps, with people.
Yeah. I mean that stuff. Let me share this now. This is application. Oh no, application. Chrome. God, I hate this stuff.
Yeah, because you want to make this like.
There you go, Russ Nicholson. Russ Nicholson. I mean.
Right. Yep.
God, that's so hard to zoom on properly. I hate this thing so much. But look at that. Oh, look. I can highlight. Right. I don't know what. No, I don't want to add a comment. What? I don't know what's going on anymore.
The internet just wants you to comment on everything.
It does. It does. See, that's another one. That's him again from Warlock of Firetop Mountain.
Nice.
Just all these crazy little line art things that kind of look like woodcuts and yeah, I never really twigged that influenced me. But then I look at some of the stuff I've done, and it's like, oh my god.
There's almost a kind of there's almost like a Terry Pratchett feel to them as well. What's his name? Josh Kirby did the covers for the Terry Pratchett stuff.
I've just unshared that. I didn't mean to unshare that because I was just about to mentioning Josh Kirby.
Hey.
hang on. Oh, look, you can see my Google Drive. Oops. Oh, who cares? Oh no, you can see. Yeah, you can see the address. And look, Josh Kirby, fantastic. Again, all this stuff influences you, and you don't realize it. It's nowhere near the same thing. But look at the cover of War of the Wizard that I did. That's pretty much like a very poor attempt at Josh Kirby.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say it's a very poor attempt at Josh Kirby. It's an excellent cover. But yeah, you can see the kind of influence. There was a whole series of these books. I can't remember the author now, but they were kind of like comedy books that were out and published in the 70s. Wilt was one of them. Wilt. Yeah. And they all had these kind of like caricaturish like illustrations and illustrators working on them. So there was this kind of like entire sort of like it must have been the publishing industry. It must have been, this is funny. People have to know it's funny. So we have to get this kind of illustration on it. But they're all really good. That's the thing.
I always think of like all these Indiegogos and stuff we do, and you get like a variant cover. I always think, how much would Josh Kirby charge?
Yeah.
Probably can't afford him.
Probably not. But yeah, well, I'm going to give. I've got a strip that I'm remastering for next year, and I'm going to give it a go. Not quite to the Frankenstein level of Benny Wrightson, but maybe something like the Black Cat or Jennifer. I'll give it a go for something like that.
Yeah. I think it's all with Bernie Wrightson. I mean, there's the mad detail and stuff, but some of it you look and there's very little detail. It's just his use of light and shade.
Yeah, it's really, really dynamic. Yeah,
it's fantastic. He can do, like I say, he did all the detail, but he can do a lot, or did a lot rather, with bare minimum.
Yeah.
Work.
I'm pretty sure he was using like copper nibs as well and brushes, and it's like it wasn't all like technical pens and stuff that he was using. I'm pretty sure that's the kind of stuff he was using as well when he was creating it.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, back in the 80s, I never used to use the proper things, the proper tools for anything.
Yeah, I mean, either. You couldn't afford them.
No, I used to paint like leather jackets with like Frazetta style dragons and stuff on for people, because I knew a lot of metalheads. So
Yeah.
I was always painting a jacket with a dragon or something on it, and I'd use like the fattest brush you've ever seen in your life, but like just the edge of it.
Yeah, but if I'm painting, I'm still a wee bit like that. Yeah.
If it works, it works. Okay.
If it works, it works exactly.
I always say, don't look at it so close. Just step back a bit. You'll see what I'm going for.
Yeah, it's not the detail; it's the overall effect.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Never mind if the eye's slightly wonky. From the distance, it looks fine.
Yeah, I don't have any of his colour work up here, but his colour work. When I was a kid, I wasn't as big a fan of his colour work, but now I appreciate it more.
Well, there was an account on Twitter today just sharing rights and stuff all day.
Yeah,
and there was was it one of the werewolf things he did?
Yeah, the Psycho the Werewolf, the Stephen King one.
Yeah, the Stephen King thing. Yeah, fantastic. That was all colour. Yeah,
yeah.
It's weird. It kind of looked like a kid's book.
Yeah,
the style, but it's not. There's like a dude getting his face ripped off and stuff, but it looks like a kid's book. It's crazy.
Yep. I think at the time I was kind of like, oh, it's not. He's okay, but now I look at it and I go, actually, yeah, that's amazing, and I know exactly what he's doing now. I can see what he's doing now when I look at it. But I think it's because his black and white stuff is just so dynamic.
Talking of kids' books, do you remember like the old Ladybird books?
Yes.
Like the Goldilocks and the Three Bears, and the Three Little Pigs and all that. The paintings in those, the illustrations, and I doubt they were credited, the artists, but
no.
But there was one of the images from my childhood that always stuck in my mind, and I wish I should have got it to show you. But people will have to Google it. Google Ladybird books, Three Little Pigs, and look for the picture where the wolf's looking into the window. As a very small child, that terrified the holy shit out of me.
I'm having a look right now. So it's like Ladybird books, Three Little Pigs.
Three Little Pigs, and there's like a scene where the wolf's face is just lying along the ledge of the window, looking in. You can see his snout. He's got a really sly eye. That terrified me as a kid. Don't know why.
I'm having no luck. Maybe I was waiting after the show. If anybody is Googling it, I just want to tell them all the images that are coming up, they're not anywhere near as good as the actual original artwork. But yeah, no. Yeah, the Ladybird books were interesting because they were like traditional sort of like illustrators, and they must have paid fairly well, I would imagine, at the time. Because they were everywhere. They were in schools. Every library had a full collection of the Ladybird books.
Oh, we had tons of them at home as well. Yeah, I mean, like they did a little bit of Riding Hood, and the cover of that, the wolf was freaky.
Yeah.
They were literally, I mean, these artists, like, I mean, I suppose the stories they're based on are kind of creepy anyway. So,
yeah.
You know what I mean? All the original sort of like, not Hans Christian, Brothers Grimm stuff, and yeah, very dark. Do you know what? You're right. I've just scanned through Google, and that image that I'm looking for is not there. Never mind.
I'm going I'm going to jump now to before we get. I'm leaving all the good stuff to last because I know we're going to get immersed in it when we get there. But yeah, you did mention this comic. I was impressed when I saw that, and I went, "Oh man, I wish I had that one." Issue 400 of Detective Comics.
Yeah, well, those two, that one and the Power Man Iron Fist, they were like. I mean, I can't remember if we got, like the reprints and the bumper versions of like Spider-Man and stuff. I don't know what year they started coming over here, but these were the first two like American comics that I bought. I was on a rainy holiday in Wales, bored out of my mind. Went down to the tatty little corner shop where they sold, the milk and where you got your milk and your eggs and whatnot.
Yeah.
And bought the electricity tokens and all that crap. And and they got a long box at the back just lying on the floor, and I reached through it and just like, I don't know why Power Man and Iron Fist. I think I was probably into kung fu movies at the time, probably because of throwing stars and stuff. It was 1977 anyway, and it was a rainy day in Wales.
Yeah,
there you go. I bought those two, and I spent that entire 2 weeks just reading. I think I only read the Power Man Iron Fist one maybe twice, but I went over and over the Batman Man-Bat.
Yeah.
Went over that so much. Yeah.
Yeah. All the Man-Bat stories were great back then. Whenever Man-Bat appeared.
Yeah. Like I say, that released in 1970. And I bought it in 77. So, and it was in good condition as well, which surprised me.
Yeah.
Find out, because obviously I didn't know at the time it was like, it had been around on someone's shelf or whatever for 7 years.
Yeah, I think if you'd got one of the earlier issues of Power Man, you'd have probably read it more. I liked it before it became Power Man and Iron Fist more. I liked it when it was just Luke Cage, and it was a bit more like obviously a rip off for the blaxploitation movies at the time.
Oh yeah. I don't know, because I think this is like I think the villain in that one was Stiletto, maybe.
Right.
Can't remember, but there was a reason I bought it. I can't remember. Yeah.
A good name for a villain, isn't it? For something like Power Man and Iron Fist, Stiletto.
Oh yeah. I mean these and you remember Top Trumps cards.
Yes.
Yeah, the Marvel Top Trumps cards. That was my other introduction to the world of American comics.
Right. So
just like all these cards with these characters I didn't know anything about. But it gave you a little description of them and like a cool picture. And it's like the one that always stuck in my head was the Dread Dormammu, because he had the most badass card. He was just like stood there looking badass.
Yep. He was like one of the many Satans that they've got in the Marvel universe. The Dread Dormammu.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. But I was obsessed with all that kind of stuff. Horror, whatever. Oh, look, the devil. I'm into that.
I thought
later on,
segue for Man-Bat would be to go to Salvador Dali.
I was going to say, and then I was into all the devils and all that kind of stuff, and it turns out that the head of the Satanic Church is Peter Gilmore. For real? I get.
Is that just now? The head just now?
He has been for a long time. Yeah.
Oh right, okay. I remember the guy. Who was the chap? The bald head and we got Anton LaVey. He was the guy. LaVey,
he was. I think
he was an oddball. He was.
Yeah.
Is that the Satanic Church or was it the other one? Because it's two, isn't there?
Same one, I think. Same one.
Yeah.
But I don't think they were the best of friends, him and Peter Gilmore.
Right. No. I remember reading an interview with him in a magazine that I probably shouldn't have been reading. I still do from time to time get DMs for the other Peter Gilmore. You collate them and make a little book.
Because he's an artist and a musician and all these other things. So, and he's got a beard. And he looks, but he doesn't look like me. He's older, much older than me.
I can see a conspiracy theory here. I can see that maybe you are the same person.
Occasionally, I'd like to. I mean, like
time travel. That's what it is.
Some of these internet comics crazies, like Tim Doyle and people like that, they all claim to be like Satanists, So occasionally I feel like just stepping into his head and going, kneel before me. Don't know if it'd work. And I'd probably have a lot of crazy people chasing after me for doing that.
No, it might work, but they'd probably start fluttering their eyelids at you. You'd be the one that would run. I think that's probably what would happen.
Oh, yeah. You don't want to know about some of the photos I get sent.
Terrifying. No, don't.
No. But, Salvador Dali.
Yeah, so wait. I mean, was this like at school? Because I was into Dali when I was a secondary school or high school for the Americans. Or was this after?
Kind of. I've always kind of liked it, but I didn't really. When I was younger, I didn't really know who he was or what. I knew I liked the picture with the elephants and the swans, and I knew I liked the picture with the floppy clock, the melting clock, and all that kind of stuff. And then, of course, we did. When I did, like, before uni, you do like the BTEC thing. We did art history, and they go over such tedious crap, such tedious stuff that I wasn't interested in. And I'd be like, "Can't we talk about Dali or something interesting?" No, let's look at Broadway Boogie Woogie for the 100th time. A bunch of coloured squares.
Yeah, I think there was a period like into the 80s of that where they kind of looked down on surrealism and Dali. That's the kind of feeling that I got anyway.
Yeah. The art history lecturer that I had hated him.
Yeah.
Really hated. Then again, having said that, like, my art lecturers hated anything that wasn't, I don't know, mundane or just, I don't know. We had one in fine art. The lecturer said, "Oh, bring a picture in tomorrow that you really like. Find a copy of a painting or whatever, piece of art what you love." And I think it was Watchmen I took in. That went down like a lead balloon. Massive argument. Got sent home.
Yeah, I did. We in our higher art exam, we spent one morning doing some life drawing, and then in the afternoon we had to turn the life drawing into a piece of design for something. So I turned my life drawing into an album cover for Kiss.
Oh. What's wrong with that?
Exactly, that's what I thought.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have such a problem. They wanted me to do fine art. I wanted to do graphics or something, and I was always secretly drawing comics at home.
Yeah.
So I used to get into a lot of arguments. I wasn't a good student. They didn't like me very much. They wanted me to do fine art, whatever. I wanted to do graphics. And our graphic design lecturer was actually the guy who invented the Weetabix skinheads.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Which is, well, he invented the original one. He didn't invent the later one where they added a girl.
Right.
That was the first. Is
that the woke Weetabix? Yeah.
And it really was, because they went from being all these tough skinhead dudes to they were all stupid and the girl was always right.
There's a cap just pointing out when I'm talking about higher, so I'm talking about equivalent to A levels, but more in depth. Well, they're done in a year. It's like doing your A levels in a year.
Sounds good to me. Yeah.
It does. It's as good. It gets over and done with. Yeah. But I put this just dead quickly because it was just my the things that I think of when I think about Dali. It's him himself, because he was the first artist really to create himself as a product to sell.
Yeah.
So it's like Dali. He was advertising things on TV.
Have you been to his house?
No, I'd love to go. I will go eventually.
Do it. It's fantastic. Absolutely. Just from the even walking up the road towards it, you're looking at it, you're like, yeah, that's Dali's house. It's like giant eggs on the roof and things like that. It's like, okay. We walk through the doors and there's a 10-foot stuffed bear serving aperitifs and cocktails.
He was just mad.
Like a bear in a tutu wearing a crown and a serving tray.
Yeah, it's amazing how many, because a lot of my students are really into Dali. It's in the last couple of years, it's like kids have been getting back into surrealism and this kind of work. I put his Christ painting here because that's one that's in Glasgow. So as a small
right.
child, I saw that in the gallery, McLaren Galleries in Glasgow, and it was like it's an amazing looking painting. It just looks incredible, much better than any kind of reproduction that you see on the internet.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
it's one of these things that you just you gravitate towards whenever you go to that gallery.
yeah.
So from a very young age, Dali was an artist I was interested in.
Yeah, and I mean, you wouldn't think it to look at some of the pages from Super Dead that we've got coming up. You might notice little bits, but
Right.
I'm really influenced by him. Just I don't know how to explain it. It's just the composition of things and the random use and things from one panel spilling into another panel and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, there's bizarre things going on if you look.
I mean, the images of the eyes there, that's for Suspicion, the Hitchcock movie.
Yeah.
And he was like very much in vogue with Hollywood. And
oh yeah, that picture of him there, those eyes appear in many of my comics, my artwork. Just that wide staring kind of.
So it's brilliant reference.
Yeah, it's usually on someone who's about to get it in the neck, or someone who's just seen something horrific, or get the Dali eyes out.
I'm going to stay with art just now, and kind of like because it's kind of natural to go to Giger, Geiger, or however you want to pronounce it. It's Giger, I think, is correct way, isn't it?
Giger, apparently Giger, yeah.
Yeah. I always call him Geiger.
Another massive influence. I mean, when I first came along and started getting involved with Comicsgate and whatnot, I was working on my own book called Moon, which I think I've only drawn like 10 pages of it because I got sidetracked into doing other stuff that I get paid for. But yeah, that was very, very Giger influenced. It's lots of, and in fact, the page I shared from Super Dead today, that if you look at the background on that, that's there's faces coming out of walls and like rippling skin and all kinds of creepiness going on.
Yeah, he was. Everybody was exposed to his work because of Alien. I think if they hadn't seen it beforehand.
Yeah, that's a little bit more of a pronounced Alien, shall we say?
Oh yeah, that's more of a Giger Alien.
Yeah.
Although the brilliant thing about the first movie is he was there on set. He was building all the stuff and actually there working on it. Which
I mean, you can tell where he stopped being involved as well in the series.
Yeah, exactly. And
definitely, you get people who take all the elements of Giger, but it doesn't feel the same.
No,
it's like someone's been described. Some Giger's work's been described to someone, and they're like, right, yeah, I can do that. So pipes and tubes and bodies and yeah.
I mean, it sounds pretentious, but there is actually in everything he does, there's a thought that goes behind it insofar as one, aesthetically, how does it look, and two, organically, how does it work? And that's they kind of forgotten that when they kind of sidelined him. They kind of forgot that, and they just said, "Wouldn't it be cool if we now did this or that?" And there was no real advance of the kind of evolution of the alien.
Yeah,
it was all him, really.
Yeah, and he always kind of interested me how he went. He kind of went the opposite way from what most artists do. So usually your work over your lifetime will get more detailed or better or whatever, but he went the other way and he ended up just drawing with a marker pen on pieces of card.
Yeah,
he went from this stuff to just there you go. Because he was, as he put it, he was like refining it down to what needed to be, I don't know, like to the minimal thing.
Yeah, he was a surrealist, and he was a strange way a realist at the same time, because he was dealing with topics that were kind of taboo, and the only way he could deal with those kind of topics would be to approach them in this way.
I mean, another guy would be like Alfred Cuban. Cuban was like a kind of a predecessor-ish to Giger. and he was like the same kind of thing, but a little bit more saucy, shall we say?
Yeah. Yeah, although Giga's work is all very sexual and organic, it's not sexy.
No, I mean,
well, it kind of is, but isn't it? Isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of sexy in a dark, twisted, you're a freak kind of way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Swiftly moving on.
I can neither confirm nor deny that it's sexy. Moving on now. Thank you.
Right, I'm staying with art a little bit because
Gerald Scarfe.
Gerald Scarfe. There was two guys that the art department always liked, and that was Steadman and Scarfe when it came to cartoonists. Those were the guys.
I mean, Scarfe's work on the wall, on Pink Floyd's wall, fantastic. And probably my first time I was exposed to it.
Stato's getting a bit spicy with the Geiger in the chat there.
Well,
that's true, Stato. That's true.
Disgusting. I'm deeply shook. I'm shook to the core.
Shocked.
Out of my, yeah. So, I mean, Gerald Scarfe.
Gerald Scarfe. Pink Floyd, The Wall.
Pink Floyd, The Wall. Enough said. There you go. Hammers. Look at that Thatcher. Look at that thatch.
I mean, coming from Geiger's Alien, Thatcher to a lot of us was a lot more terrifying than Alien, and
and
this personifies that.
I mean, that thatch looks very much like the original film of the witches.
Yes, it does, doesn't it?
Very, very, very much. Yeah. In fact, it's incredibly close. Yeah. So I'm guessing someone was influenced. Apparently, they've remade it. They've just remade it. The Witches.
So it looks good.
It looks good, but someone said I've seen a few reviews, and it's like apparently it looks good, but it ain't good. So I don't know.
I don't know because thank you many reviewers loved Captain Marvel, so you never know.
Yeah, that is a very good point.
Yeah, anybody can be a reviewer nowadays. It used to be there was like half a dozen people out there that genuinely understood what their mindset was, and if they liked something and you were in the same mindset, you would go with the review. Because remember the chap Barry Norman? He used to do all the film reviews, and he hated everything that was schlocky. Any kind of horror movies, he hated them. So I'd watch a show, and he'd have a terrible or a grudgingly okay review for like Dawn of the Dead. And I'd be like, right, I'm going to go and see that. It's going to be brilliant. Yeah.
I mean, Barry Normal. What was that on? They used to call him Barry Normal. I can't remember. Anyway, inside, it was some impressionist show from the 1980s. Right. If he said a horror movie was kind of good, you knew it was a masterpiece.
And if he said it was trash, you knew it was at least worth watching. Pretty much. But,
he was a weird guy. Weird guy.
Yeah.
But I mean, he was like the only port of call you really had back in the day to knowing what movies were going to be like. Because
it was because there was nothing. There was Clapperboard, the children's version of Film Night
with Chris Kelly.
With Chris Kelly, Clapperboard.
I used to love Clapperboard. Yeah,
that was good. But they didn't tell you if a film was good or bad or not. They just had lots of set visits and interviewed people, which was a lot better. And you could
it wasn't necessarily. It didn't really have much horror. Although I do remember them doing American Werewolf in London.
Really, Clapperboard did wow.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, because it was on, and it was also that TV show that was on it, Pebble Mill. Do you remember that?
Pebble Mill at 1, yeah.
Yeah, lunchtime thing. They did a whole feature on American Werewolf on that as well. Yeah. Which was like, and they showed the clip with the
really,
the subway, the underground clip.
And you had all these middle-aged ladies sitting in the audience with their blue rims haircuts watching it.
Yeah, going, oh, look at that werewolf!
Oh my goodness,
fantastic! So I had to get a mention of American Werewolf because it is the greatest movie I've made. Sorry.
Yeah, that's one of them.
The greatest British movie ever made.
yeah. I'm not going there. In fact,
that's for you people.
But if you are talking about greatest British movies ever made, I don't know about the greatest British ones, but I'm going to, before we go into like the greatest British ones. I'm going to quickly kind of pull up this guy here, Ray Harryhausen.
Ray Harryhausen, yes. Jason and the Argonauts. That skeleton fight, fantastic.
It's even to this day, it's amazing.
My childhood, the main things from my childhood that I loved were Universal Monsters, Hammer Horror, like Doctor Who, things like that, Space 1999, and then Ray Harryhausen. Anything that I knew he'd done, I watched. Valley of the Gwangi, what a movie. A bunch of cowboys find an Allosaurus. Brilliant.
Even today, it's impressive that they've got them lassoing a dinosaur. You're like, wow.
This is it. There's like 4 or 5 lassos on a dinosaur, and it's moving round, and they're all moving round, the cowboys, and fantastic.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
That skeleton fight from Jason and the Argonauts still looks amazing.
Yeah. They did, because the story was they had the skeleton fight in the 7th Voyage of Sinbad, which was made a few years earlier, and it was one skeleton, and it was set in a dungeon. And the censor was like, "Oh, this is too scary," so they wanted to give it a higher certificate. So they knew that when they made Jason and the Argonauts, they had to make it during the day in broad daylight, because the skeletons would take away some of the horror aspect. But it actually makes it better. I don't know. It's just like it's.
Yeah, it must have been harder to do as well without.
Yeah, you can't hide it.
I was going to say, can't hide any of the horrible, the rubbish stuff, the bad stuff. But I like Jason and the Argonauts, Clash of the Titans, the original, obviously, not that remake thing.
No.
The beat. What was it? The beast
behemoth from 20,000 feet or something like that. I'm trying to remember now.
The first one he did was the creature from a million miles in space, star, alien. I don't know.
Yeah, it was
we were talking about
Beast from 20,000. Oh, there we go. Startle. I knew you know. Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, which was based on a Ray Bradbury short story, if I remember rightly.
That's it. But his first one was one about the alien, the million miles in. I can't remember what it's called now.
Yeah, the alien was called the Emir, the YMIR, I think it was, the Emir. But the interesting thing about his films were that he devised all the effects scenes and did the effects, but he didn't direct them. So the name above the marquee was the special effect guy, not the director of the movie. We never had that since then. We had it with King Kong with Willis O'Brien, but he was a selling point of all these movies.
And weirdly enough as well, that very first movie that I can't remember the name of, someone Google it quick. The creature in that was reused as the Kraken in Clash of the Titans. Same creature.
Yep, I'm trying to think of the name of the movie, but I've actually got it on Blu-ray. That's shocking. It's something like 20,000 miles from Earth to Earth or something like that.
That sounds more like it.
It's something like that. I'm terrible with the names of these old 50s movies because there's so many movies with practically the same title and just the one word changed. But yeah, so the ones I loved were all the kind of like the Greek gods type stuff, like Jason the Argonauts, Clash of the Titans, and the Sinbad stuff. Sinbad and I the Tiger, I saw that in the cinema. That was the first Harryhausen film I saw at the cinema. And that was great. I thoroughly enjoyed that. The Golden Voyage of Sinbad, that's Caroline Munro was in that, so I had to include her, of course. Nothing to do with Ray Harryhausen. She's human.
I just Googled it and I'm completely wrong because his first movie was Mighty Joe Young.
20 million miles to Earth.
That's the one. You beat me to it.
There you go. Well, I didn't. It was Startle. I knew he would do it. And you'd fight 20 million miles to Earth. I was just remember that as the 1957. Yep. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah.
I just remember there's the one with the 6 tentacled octopus as well.
Oh God.
Because it was economical, they would actually be able to animate 6 tentacles rather than 8. So it's like
that's not the one that Ed Wood stole the model to use in
Bride of the Monster.
Yeah.
It might well be. Yeah, it might well be.
Very possible. fantastic. God love Ed Wood.
Yeah, I do. I'm going to have to watch Pride of the Monster again soon because it's part of it's to do with Elsa Dark, so I need to watch it again.
Yeah. Any excuse.
any excuse. Golden Voyage all the way, indeed. But yeah, I think Ray Harryhausen. Any kids today that don't understand how brilliant these films are not human. That's all I can say.
No, it's look at these. Yeah.
I just quickly threw together a few of them here. It could be any one of the universe. I guess you saw them at late night BBC Two double bills. Was that kind of
exactly? Yeah. When I can't remember when they were showing those. I'm guessing I probably wasn't supposed to be awake and watching them.
No, they showed them over quite a few years. So yeah,
I used to wait till the parents had gone to bed, sneak downstairs to watch like the Hammer movies and stuff as well. Yeah, and I'm sure they must have known I was doing it, but I got away with it.
Yeah, I used to do that as well. If nobody else was up.
Tiny little black and white TV up in my room. So, but that wasn't good enough because obviously the Hammer stuff was in. Once the Hammer stuff was on, that was in colour. Yeah. So I had to go downstairs to watch in the colour set.
Yeah, they would show I remember rightly, the independent channel ITV at the time would show more recent kind of like colour stuff on Friday nights.
Yeah.
So you would get things like Twins of Evil. The later Hammer films would be on there.
All the booby films.
All the films that you shouldn't be watching, exactly. You'd be able to see them there. Good times. but this is, of course, this is going to lead me to.
Oops. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
To another comic.
Now,
which also links nicely with the films.
We were talking about like the Hammer films and about how I wasn't supposed to be watching them. Well, me and my friend, we get this Hammer magazine just to see the pictures from the movies that we weren't allowed to see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And half of them, I mean, there's probably a whole bunch of Hammer movies I've never seen to this day that I should. But
yeah.
They were just...
In your head, though, it's kind of like you probably get them mixed up with the comic strip if you were to see them again. Because sometimes I'm like that. Sometimes the vision, because I saw them in comic form before I saw them in the actual movies, and so just to kind of like let people know. Have I got to use this the right one? There you go. So there's an issue that's an adaptation of The Curse of the Werewolf, and it's John Bolton. John Bolton. Yeah, and I saw this before I saw the movie.
Oh yeah, amazing. Yeah. Same here.
Amazing stuff.
Yeah, the comic strip was, dare I say, better than the movie.
Yeah. I don't know. I love that movie.
Well, yeah. So Oliver Reed. Oliver Reed is a werewolf. I mean, that's perfect casting.
Yeah, I don't know why Hammer let him go. They had him under contract. He made a couple of movies, and then
I'm guessing he was probably like too much to deal with.
He might well have been, but he was young at the time. Yeah,
pints of creme de menthe every year. A pint of creme de menthe for breakfast, stuff like that.
Yeah,
he'd get the train down to like Elstree or wherever they were like shooting. He'd get the train down and he'd like take on like a 2-pint stein of creme de menthe and sit on the train with a 2-pint. And no one would stop him because it's Oliver Reed.
No,
and he wouldn't have like a private car or like a first class. He'd just be sat.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever finished a glass of that, let alone a pint of it.
No, it's disgraceful stuff. Nasty.
I don't know.
If it was just mint flavored, I could handle it, but it's not. There's something else there.
There's something else there that's kind of evil. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like cream soda mixed with mint, then like distilled till it's really strong and
yeah.
There's something going on, and we shouldn't trust it.
Not at all. But we've got John Bolton again doing Prince of Darkness and 1 million years BC.
Oh yeah. I mean, what? I look at this stuff. And I'm just. What can you say? There's nothing you can say. It's fantastic.
Nothing. It's just brilliant stuff.
It's beautiful. And just the whole use of light and dark, and it's literally just cross-hatching and line work. And
yep. And if I go back to the covers here, it's like these covers all here, most of them anyway, are painted by, is it Brian Lewis? I keep forgetting his name. Yeah.
Look at that.
I'm thinking it's Brian Lewis, wasn't it? Ooh.
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
Yeah, it was Brian Lewis. And they were just great. His covers would have sold these anyway. They were better than a lot of the posters.
See, I don't know about you, but that would be the perfect job for me. Just one of these covers like once a month.
Yeah. That was when I was a kid, that was the kind of job I wanted, but then they stopped making these kind of magazines when I was old enough to get that kind of job.
Yeah. And you're never going to see them again.
No, never.
Someone will do. Someone will try it. Someone will try and do a Kickstarter or an Indiegogo. Like, oh, we're going to start doing this. And
I think they tried to bring this back a few years back, but I never saw what they did with it.
Was this when Hammer started doing the horror films again?
It might have been, and they also did a couple of comics as well, but they were nowhere near as good as the stuff House of Hammer did.
This is it. I mean, if they want to pay me a ton of money, I will sit and I will spend 4 days on a page for you.
Yep.
Make it look really pretty. But
I'd join you with that. We should probably track down Des Skin, see if he's getting any spare cash, because he's the guy that edited and came out with this. He came up with the whole idea, and originally it was going to be called Chiller, and then he got the rights to the Hammer stuff, and it became House of Hammer, and it was like the UK's version of Famous Monsters of Filmland, but so much better.
There was another Hammer magazine as well. I can't remember which one it was. Was it just called Hammer House of Horror, or it was something like that? Wasn't as good.
Yeah, no. This is the one. This is the quality one that everybody loves. I mean, there's.
I think the one they did later had reprints of some of the comic strips, but they'd kind of plastered. I think they'd relettered it. They must have only had the original, inks or whatever. Relettered it. It wasn't good. It was lazy and slapdash.
Yeah, I never saw that. Brian Boland before Judge Dredd doing Vampire Circus, is that? Well, it's Vampire Circus and Plague of the Zombies.
And Plague of the Zombies, yeah. Just
again, it's like
just look at the lighting on that. Look at the lighting on that Dracula. Oh, vampire rather, not Dracula. Yeah. Even though we seem to have Han Solo in there as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Han Solo facing off against the vampire John Pertwee.
This was the one that you mentioned to me.
Yeah,
this was this particular issue.
This is the only issue I've actually got in this house because the rest are all packed away elsewhere at the parents' house. But yeah, this one it got Frankenstein, Dracula, and like a werewolf story in them all. I can't for the life of me remember off the top of my head who the artists were, but it's all like really well known artists.
It's Neil Adams that does it. Neil Adams and Dick Giordano.
It is. Yes, you're right. Neil Adams.
Which was strange because I remember seeing this and thinking this is strange because these are American artists. what are they doing in House of Hammer? Because you were used to Brian Boland, John Bolton, all these people working on it.
Yeah, I mean, I've actually got a copy of this at my mother's as well. So the copy I've got here, I actually a few months back, I'd like remembered about the Hammer magazine. I found it and. So I scanned a couple of pages and tweeted them out. And then I realised afterwards that was the copy that me and my stupid mate had drawn all over. And so you've got a vampire like pouncing on a chick and his bangs flying around and he's got Hitler tash and glasses. We invented our own entertainment back in those days.
That's what you did back then, It's like
yeah, you've got like a werewolf pouncing and he's got two googly eyes and his tongue's hanging out the side of his mouth and
Yeah, you didn't think about the future that anybody was going to slab these and get them graded and all that rubbish.
Exactly. Yeah, the number of comics we had back in the day where there'd be like a musical note coming out of someone's butt.
Or the most beautiful character always had a tooth missing. It was you just had to do it, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
The werewolf in this cover is actually kind of like a prototype American werewolf.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
That it's kind of slouched over there and everything.
Yeah. I was always, I mean, like I say, American Werewolf is probably my favorite horror. I mean, it does kind of change. Sometimes I'll pick something else, but yeah. But having said that, the werewolf at the end, the final scenes in American Werewolf with the actor where you see more of the wolf, it's like, wish I'd shown that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I'm kind of with you. I prefer, because I prefer the Howlings werewolves. I prefer traditional kind of werewolves. Or
I like, stood on 2 feet with a wolfy head and big claws, and yeah.
If it's just like it looks like a big dog, just shit it. Yeah, that's what,
exactly.
that's what I thought.
Yeah, it literally did just look like a big dog.
Yeah,
great movie, but still better than that crappy, awful sequel. Don't.
Yeah. No. It doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist.
The original script of the second movie is fantastic. Absolutely amazing. But they never made it. They made some weird, crappy thing instead. Never understand why they did that.
Okay. Maybe it's a case of getting in touch with John Landis and doing a comic of it.
Well, this is me and people have been talking about this.
Yeah, that would be the thing to do. You're the guys to do it. Passion for it.
Oh yeah. I mean, I did start drawing like American Werewolf in London as a comic. I've done like 6 pages, I think. But then, I have to break away and do stuff that actually I get paid for.
Yeah, I know, that's the thing. You got to eat, man. But I've got 2 of the pages here because the majority of the magazine was articles and interviews and stuff. And this is a particularly good one because it's got a thing about Peter Cushing. It's got like a history of Hammer stuff that they were doing. It's also got reviews of movies that were out at the time, the Axe, Communion movies that we were old enough to go and see in the cinema. So you were reading about them and you were just waiting for them to turn up on TV so you could see them.
I mean, look at that picture there. The picture on that, the life of Peter Cushing. That's just fantastic.
Yeah, Tales from the Crypt.
Fantastic creatures and stuff, and they'd have like there'd be like a shot of some gory kill scene or something that happened, and so you'd like pour over and like just imagine what the rest of the movie was like.
Yeah, and it was kind of newsprint, badly printed, black and white, kind of blotchy, but that made it all the better.
It was, yeah, absolutely, really kind of badly contrasty kind of images, and yeah. But still, I mean, I suppose they had to save the money somewhere because they were paying these guys to draw comic strips for them.
Pretty much, yeah. I was saying to you as well before we started, I'd researched this strip because I just thought to myself, why is Neil Adams drawing a strip in House of Hammer? And it was originally done for a vinyl record that was released, and it came with the record in the comic. That was a thing back then in the 70s. You would get comics and comic books together.
Yeah, I remember, like, I can't remember which one. I think I might have had a Spider-Man or a Batman or something. I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
Those weird kind of flexi disc things.
Not vinyl. They were weird flexi, sort of like you could roll them up and throw them through the air. And use them for parachutes for your action man if you wanted.
Sometimes you get one that could be like a piece of cardboard with the record attached, and then another bit of cardboard that folded up with a needle on it.
That's right. Yeah. What were those? Oh wow.
I've got one for oh my god, where are they? I've got one for a Space 1999. I've got a Space 1999 one, and I've got one which is David Attenborough talking about like whales and dolphins.
Weird.
It's called Sounds of the Sea.
I'm pretty sure I had a John Ottman one that was on one of those kind of wee flexi discs. It was one of my neighbour's sons was a DJ, and he gave it to me.
Yeah,
it was like.
Talking of flexi discs, I've got I used to be in the Madness Club, the band, and so I've got the flexi disc of Madness doing Christmas carols, which is fantastic. Literally all of them drunk as skunks, just in a recording, just like in a rehearsal somewhere, they do half a Christmas song and then start laughing and falling over drunk and then do another one. It's brilliant.
Brilliant.
There's like 5 minutes of just talking, random shouting and talking in the background.
Flexi discs. Bring them back, that's what I say.
Yeah, why not?
Everyone's got turntable now. Finals out there, everyone's got one. Yep.
This is true. Although, to be honest, for the same price, they could probably just put out a USB stick with an MP3 on. Not the same, though.
It's not the same, though. It's not the same. But that's us. That's all my slides. That's us.
There you go.
Could I go through these ones again because
have we learned anything, Wally? I don't think we have.
I don't know. I don't think so. No, but it's not really about learning anything. It's not even about the destination. It's all about the journey. We know that.
This is it. So, to summarise, horror, surrealism,
surrealism, Bernie Wrightson, a little bit of this.
Yeah, big Haggard, and
Anarchic Kids. Yep. And although you didn't pick it, but it rang a bell with you, Sounds as well.
Sounds. And
I don't know about you, but I used to have like headphones kind of like this when they're bigger, with the kind of like the wire cord, and you'd plug them in. And I used to read my comics and my horror novels while I was listening to either like Bowie or Kiss or Motorhead or Saxon or whatever.
Saxon or yeah.
Which is probably why I've got tinnitus now.
Do you know what? Because I've got it. Yeah,
it was like
I usually put it down because I've been in a lot of bands over the years. And a bass player in most of them, so I'd be stood with like a bass rig one side and a drum kit the other side. So that probably didn't help either.
That wouldn't help. A lot of the concerts I've been to as well probably didn't help too. But when I think about it, I think it's probably every single day putting headphones on and cranking it to 11.
Yeah.
And reading comics.
Yeah, heavy metal, bad for you.
Yeah, that's terrible. Should be banned.
Don't play your record backwards, kids. Don't do that.
It's all that satanic stuff. You don't touch it. No, be a good kid. Right, I'm going to quickly stop sharing this, and this is where I get confused because I use a different browser.
You can do it.
I could do it. I'm sure I can. That's not
every faith in you.
Yeah, I get confused because I use MS Teams now all the time, for my work, and all the controls are at the top, and then I come at StreamYards and all the controls are at the bottom.
Yeah,
it's a simple thing, but it throws you.
It baffles me when people send me Google Hangout links now. It's like, what's this? What's happening?
What's going on?
I understand StreamYard. Oh, look at that! Super.
Look at that. Right, Stato, have you got your watch ready to time this? See if we can be much quicker. We do the fastest shilling known to man.
What's shilling? You want me to shill it really fast?
Yeah, go for it.
Heroes meets horror in a tale of bloody carnage and revenge. Things start out moderately bad for everyone in the book, and by the end, it's diabolically horrendous for everyone in the book. Yeah, we've got a guy who was the hero of the city, got infected with dark energy, and changed his power set, changed his abilities, gave him sort of like a hunger for flesh, etc. So he went and hid himself away in the sewers, hoping that the people above in the city would be looking for a cure for him. Years later, he finally surfaces, and nope, everyone's forgotten him. He's been replaced by a new hero, and he's pissed. He gets angry, and much death and carnage ensues. There's a lot more to it than that, but I don't know if I'm allowed to reveal any of it.
You're not allowed, or you'll get spanked.
If I'm lucky.
Yeah, I'm going to quickly pick myself up.
Ooh,
there's this as well. I don't think I've got the campaign up, but is that still going? Rocket Gal still is, isn't it? It's still there in demand.
Rocket Gal RocketGalComic.com will take you there. There's a few left. There's really, really not many left.
Really? Right.
Yeah.
I think I saw that today, actually. Yeah, Wyatt put that out today.
Yeah. When they're gone, they're gone. People keep saying, "Is it going to get a reprint?" I think we might do the whole, the thing that Malin was going to do, where issue 1 gets rolled into like a 2-parter for issue 2, and so they'll never be the same versions.
Right. Oh, cool. Yeah, that's a good thing about doing it as an Indiegogo thing. If you can get your comics out there, and they're unique, they're collectibles, so you can carry on reprint the story. But the first ones that people back, they get something special.
Someone was asking the other day if we were going to do like a digital one. No, I can't see it. Not for a long while, anyway. Maybe when we're on maybe issue whatever, we might do. But then again, no, we'll do a compendium. We'll do like a. You can buy them all. Thank you very much. Buy the traditional.
Brilliant.
Buy the paper one.
But this is Super Dead's doing well. It's in demand. I've still to back it. I'm waiting until this month's payday, and I'll be going for a.
Yeah, I mean we've added sketch covers.
There's some new stuff. So let's see. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got sketch covers. You can get a sketch cover by That Summer's Woman. You get a sketch cover by me. There's a couple of bits of original art on there still. Yeah.
Cool.
I'm powering through drawing the pages.
Brilliant.
But I could go faster, but I'd rather keep the detail in there. Do you know what I mean?
You want to keep the quality. Yeah, because I love these pages.
Gets really and to be honest, the pages that are on here are being not totally redone, but tweaked. So they need updating on the campaign. I
love the fact that it's gnarly.
Well, this is it. I mean, if you check on my Twitter at Peter Gilmore Art, I put out the inks I've just finished for a page. The page I'm drawing now, I mean, I'm having to look at medical photos to see how things work inside people.
I can hardly wait.
Yeah,
that sounds like my kind of horror.
Well, this is. I mean, I could make it up. I've got a vague idea where all the bits go.
Yeah,
but
just got to do it right.
Got it. Yeah. So if someone tore that part out, where would the spleen go? Need to check these things.
You do, and then there's an artistic kind of like you can interpret it as you wish, but once you know exactly how it's all working, it just makes it that much better. It's
kind of the whole story so far has been. It's like slight threat of menace, brooding menace, a little bit more menace. Shit gets crazy. Shit gets crazier, and the stuff I'm doing now is Jesus Christ. This came out of the mind of a housewife from Georgia. She's not just a housewife. She's a really good writer, but she's crazy. You still listening, Summers?
Brilliant. I was looking for War of the Wizard because it came just the other day there, but it must be in another room. I
mean that's as soon as Super Dead's finished, I'm straight away, literally probably going to take 2 days off and then start drawing War of the Wizard too.
Yeah, that'll be a culture flip, that, won't it, from Super Dead to War of the Wizard?
It'd be like a holiday. It'll be like I won't wake up with bizarre images in my head.
Well, I think you can see there's not direct influences, but I think you can see all the kind of like influences of the stuff we've been talking about for the last 90 minutes or so. You can see how it's all kind of like in your head and working around in there.
Oh, it is, yeah, and it just
definitely.
It's like I say to people, the first 12 pages are there, but the part just after page 12, like page 13, maybe page 14, it's insane. It's insane, and I wish I could show people some of the stuff, but there's massive spoilers, so I couldn't. But
I do that sometimes. I'll put an image up, I'll just put a big spoiler strip over it. Usually there's a bit of dialogue or something. I'll just put a bit of spoilers. Actually, sometimes I do that with images that aren't spoilers because it just makes people curious.
I mean, I've shown a couple of bits, but what I've done is just taken one panel out and shown that one panel.
Or
maybe like a clip down version of one panel. But it just, because being an artist, it's like you want to show everyone what you've been doing.
Yeah. Yeah, especially if you actually like it yourself, because you don't always like. 2 days later, you don't always like it, but when you've done it, if you like it, you kind of want to show it to people. You know,
all the time, constantly look back at stuff, and I have to stop myself from going back on Superdead now. Going back and like redoing stuff on the earlier pages, it's like no, they're done.
If you can show it to people and they like it, that's it. That kind of lets you leave it alone a little bit and lets you move on. If you don't show it to people, you just keep going back and noodling it and working it and changing it, and that's what I'm like.
I mean, the only reason I went back and redid some of those pages that were on the campaign, the only reason I've gone back and redone some is to bring them in line with how the pages are now, the quality, because I've gotten better. This is kind of my first attempt at trying to draw in more like a more American style, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
So yeah, things have evolved.
I went back and redid quite a lot of first issue of Heal So Dark. Yeah, just because I was liking my second issue better, the way things were looking.
This is, I mean, you'll see some of the earlier pages on this. There's more of my kind of cross-hatching shading going on, whereas now, you know, the American thing of instead of cross-hatching, they'll just use a thicker line or a dark, or spots and blacks. Yeah, it's just learning to think differently, I guess.
Yep. It's good fun when you're doing that and playing around and stuff.
So I mean, the pages I'm doing at the moment are a mix of the two, kind of. So you've got some of my cross hatching and some of the like heavily spotted blacks, and
nice.
It's all finding your style and finding what suits the book best, I think, as well.
Yep. I'm just I haven't been checking the chat. I believe he's talking about Oliver Reed here. Startup, not one of us.
I don't know. It could be either of us as well.
And that'll be why he wasn't when we were talking about him being in the Hammer horror movies. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. But,
I'm guessing. I think that's the main reason that he was let go. I think he was too much of a handful. In fact, some of the stories from back then of the crap he got up to,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. God, you miss people like that, don't you?
Has there ever been a movie of his life? I don't think there has.
I don't think so. No.
That needs to be made. That needs to be made.
Yeah.
Or not.
Or not. You could do best way to do it would be to do it as like a non-linear Tarantino type thing, and just like jumping between different parts of his life and seeing it all threaded together. That probably be the best way to do it.
Yeah. If they can make a movie about George Best's life, they can do Oliver Reed, surely.
I would think so. Yeah. But Super Dead.
Looks
great. Everybody still available. I'll be in there at the end of the month.
Just past 17,000 American.
There you go.
Yeah, and we're about to hit 13,000 real monies.
Nice.
How many backers are we on? We're almost at 290 at the moment. Yeah, 290 at the moment. So nearly at 300 backers. It's great. It's going really well. And thank you to everyone who supported us. It's been, without people like believing and supporting us, we'd be screwed. I'd be working as a chef still.
Yeah, that's it. When you just people that are as passionate about these projects as we are about creating them. It's great. So I'm going to quickly dive through some of the others here now.
Yeah. Carry on. I was going to say stuntmancomics.com. That's our new website.
Stuntmancomics.com. Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's our new website. People want to go and check that out. That's literally everything that me, Mandy, I think some of Wyatt's stuff's on there as well, and it's everything we've got going.
It's your wee mini empire that you're building.
This is it. Yeah, we are going to take over the world eventually.
Right. Yeah, I'll jump back here. So got to show you all Russ's Only Death Can Save Us, which is fully funded. He's still in? Isn't he 60 days? Isn't he? He's got 10 days left.
Yeah,
and then I'm sure he'll go in demand.
Looks fantastic. Yeah,
it does. And this is a quality sort of like 80s style, Bronze Age style. The way Marvel Comics used to be.
Look at that. I I want to do a comic with that kind of minimal coloring style.
Mm.
I think it's great, but I always get carried away and you end up with Super Dead.
Yeah. I force myself to stay minimal now, just because it's the only way I'm ever going to get it done.
Yeah,
yeah. I was thinking today, because I saw the new Valkyrie comic that Marvel are bringing out, and the covers for that, and they look terrible. And I thought, why couldn't they just get somebody like Russ to draw it? You know, it would look like a proper Marvel comic instead of somebody that's traced something for Tumblr.
this is it. Yeah, it's
But yeah, let's not get started on that.
no,
but Only Death Can Save Us. Brilliant. Give it a look. Still out there, still working hard is Michael and Caroline on Mortal Worlds, which really does tie in. Yeah, just tie. Is that the orange comic? It's going to be interesting to see how this is going to look when it's printed, with whatever paper stock they use or whatever, because it's so vibrant. But that's another one I'm looking forward to. Very Euro comic. Going to look to that. Some chap called Chubb gave us the Mary Boys. They're still there in demand. He's also got a mailing list, which I haven't got up here, so Google that and get his mailing list on Twitter for the next installment, which is going to be like a series of short stories.
Mary Boys is a fantastic comic. Everyone should
it is. It is. It's a proper old school indie, and by that I mean it's just it's an indie comic that it just looks like a comic. You know, it's just good.
Two of my favourite comics, like comics I've had so far, Mary Boys, and not just because I'm talking to you, but literally Elsa Dark as well. Those two books.
Cheers, thank you very much.
Fantastic books.
Thank you.
Maybe that's because I lean more towards the stuff we've been talking about, like 2000 AD, all that kind of stuff. It's a different. Yeah.
It probably is, because I think we do have an awful lot of the same influences. And the one thing that I was thinking about when I was drawing Elsa Dark was with two things. One was like the European artists who used to work in Erie and Vampirella, and the other was House of Hammer. And so I was thinking of them. So I was thinking, even though it was a colour comic, I was thinking in black and white. And I'm still doing that for the next issue. Although the next issue is good, because I also was thinking Kirby, but it's finding a way of having all these things in there without making it look as if they're clashing. And I think I've got it really tied down for the third issue. I'm having fun doing it.
It's like Mary Boys. I've heard people say it's like Turtles meets, I don't know,
Father Ted.
Father Ted. Yeah, but also there's a little bit of the young ones in there.
There's. I mean, I've used that in the past as a shorthand for it, but there's lots of other stuff. And if you know Pete Milligan's and Brendan McCarthy's work and Brett Ewan's, all from the 2000 AD days, the guys that wanted to do Revolver and Deadline and those kind of comics, it's very much of that ilk as well. I could have seen Mary Boys in something like Toxic. I could have seen them turning up as a story in something like Toxic.
To be honest, I could have seen it in 2000 AD, but
yeah.
Well, maybe not quite, but yeah.
Something like it. You definitely it would have been set in Mega City 1 though. You could see it working.
Mary Boys in Mega City 1 now. That would be awesome.
I could see it working.
What's this rubbish? What's this rubbish?
I don't know. The artist is good. A bit old time, but good.
Yeah.
This is our resident communist. Call me Mark. Is not Daredevil, which is mailing list up there. It's going to be fun. Did you read the original freebie that he gave away? Yeah, that was mental. That was funny.
Do we know when this is launching yet?
I don't know. I don't know if he said. If he's still hanging about, Mark, when's it launching? But get signed up for it anyway.
Yeah. I think it's pretty much done. Phantom, yes. Yeah,
Phantom. This needs more people. Come on.
It really does. It really does.
Yeah. So looking forward to this.
Love Peep's artwork.
Yeah, it's great stuff.
Love it, yeah.
This is People Circus should be drawing a weekly strip in 2000 AD. And then it would give it that old school vibe again.
They should give him... Peep should be drawing like Torquemada or something like that.
Or I don't know, just like I don't know, Torquemada and Mean Machine on a road trip together, something like that. That would be fun.
Yeah. Holy, yeah. That would be fantastic.
I haven't heard much about this one. I don't know.
No,
Some old film star book. Yeah.
Something about Buster Keaton.
Yeah. Oh, I love Buster Keaton. Big influence on what's his name? Jackie Chan.
Yeah. This is Jackie Chan the early years by Jackie's London.
There's, of course, Charlie's London from Eastleigh into the Limelight, which is doing phenomenally well. Look, this is a piece of work by me. Yeah.
Look at that.
Look, there's another piece of work by me. God, this was hard work trying to get this style down. I can tell you.
Oh, yeah. Just scroll back up. Scroll back up. That panel 1, those trousers. God damn it.
Yeah. That's,
rather you than me, mate. Rather you than me.
No, I don't know why I said I'd do this. 24-page one shot that's part of the campaign, and they're all wearing suits like this and trousers like this. I'm doing it all in Sketchbook Pro, and then I'm adding a filter on it on Photoshop. So I'm actually just drawing it with the graphite pencils and then bringing it into Photoshop and adding a wee oldie worldy filter. And I'm lettering it as well because I like to letter all my stuff. I don't trust other people doing it.
Same here. Yeah, I always letter, colour, do everything myself. Then I've only got myself to blame.
Exactly. And everybody expects the odd typo in an indie comic, so you're okay.
Yeah, do you know what? We've gone to, well, I'm sure you know yourself. I've said, like Rocket Girl, so many people looked over that, and still, after about 6 or 7 people had looked at it, still finding typos.
Yeah, it happens. It happens. I remember I went to Tales of Mystery and Imagination here behind me. I went with the 3rd issue of that, and it was only at convention before I sold it, and I was looking through it, and I kind of realised that was the wrong PDF I sent, wasn't it? It's the one with the typos in it. But even the one when I checked over the one that I should have sent, there's still a couple in it. It just happens. It's really difficult to not have some slip through. Especially when you are the person doing everything in the comic, you know. But
this is it. When you keep seeing the same page over and over, day in, day out.
Exactly. But this is some lovely work for Stato. Yeah, Statistical Zero. The kid, it's great. I think he's done like 9 million sketch cards for it as well. At the last counts.
Was it 160 or 360 or a million?
Is it 160? It's an awful lot. Yeah,
it was a lot. It was a lot.
January launch for Not Daredevil. Yeah. I should have known that. You mentioned that this morning. I was watching you on the Rabbi show.
I don't know. I just tune when Mark starts talking. I just kind of tune out.
But yeah, this is a fantastic campaign. It's doing phenomenally well, and Charlie's done a brilliant job with the script. So the one she's given me is great. It's going to make a great wee comic.
Yeah.
This one, yeah, there we go. Now this is going to be launching next week.
It's Halloween.
You want to get your I'm going to launch it a couple of days early. I think I'm going to hit that launch button and send out a link to everybody that signs up that won't be live on the actual campaign. It'll be a special secret link for members of Team Dark. That's you if you've signed up with the email address here, and that means that you'll get something that other people either won't get or will have to pay money for. For instance, you may well get a nice shiny Tatty Bogleman badge. Okay, so you know which other people. Totally. It's other people will have to pay for this as an add-on. If you sign up and you go through the link that I'm going to send out in the email, you'll get that for free. You'll also get a Tatty Bogleman, a werewolf, or a Bampot sketch card.
Awesome.
Okay, so everybody that signs up on the mailing list is going to get one of these as well. If you have a preference for a Tatty Bogleman, a werewolf, or a Bampot, and you let me know after you've got your kind of perk chosen, I'll make sure you get the character of your choice. But yeah, it's going to be between either a Tatty Bogle Man, a werewolf, or a Bampot. And everybody's going to get that. So you're all going to get a wee bit of original artwork and a Tatty Bogle Man Wants You badge if you sign up and go to the campaign via the link that I'm going to send out next Thursday. Okay, so
Fantastic.
yeah, so that's for Ailsa Dark, Werewolves and Bampots.
And I'm assuming people will be able to get like the first book on this campaign as well.
Yeah, you're going to be able to get the book that you're going to get here is a 52-page perfect bound bumper edition, and it completes the story in an epic fashion. With lots of double-page spreads and lots of Kirby influence coming in. And there's going to be the first 2 books as well are going to be available. So you're going to be a tier where you get all 3 books together. And there's also going to be a tier where you've got just the 3rd issue if you've already backed the campaign. If you've already backed the campaign and you've not got signed up and you still come along to find this campaign, you'll be able to just buy that 3rd issue. I did have a digital tier, so I've kept that, the 3rd one too. So anybody who came for the digital copies, and there was a dozen or so people that did that, you'll be able to get the 3rd issue on digital as well. The way it works is the digital ones go out after everybody gets sent out their main kind of like physical copies, and that's main reason for that is not just because I want to get all the physical stuff out there first, but it's also because I redo the files to make sure that I'm not using the CMYK files. And so I redo them as RGB files for the digital version so that people get as good a copy. And I also make sure they get copies in CBRs and PDFs. And everybody gets those. So eventually everybody gets a digital copy as well. I like digital. What can I say? But yeah, so that's that took more than a few minutes to go through all those, but that wasn't too bad. We talked about loads of other stuff too.
We got sidetracked. Sorry.
We do. That's I like it when that happens. So, but yeah, so that was Peter Gilmore. What does indeed lurk within the house of Peter Gilmore, and dare we enter? We did indeed, dear. We did indeed, dear, and it was highly enjoyable. It was great talking to you.
Yeah, we talked about a lot of stuff.
we did, and I'm thinking about other stuff we could be talking about as well.
I kept stopping myself from going even further down rabbit holes.
Yeah, but we will. I no doubt we'll do this again at some point, and I've planned to do some roundtables next year to get some like-minded creators and like-minded sort of like themes and to sit and talk about them in much the same way. So that should be fun. We'll get that later on. But before we go, 2 weeks' time, there's only a few more comic book goals like this that I'm going to be doing. I'm going to have Russ Leach in a few weeks, but in 2 weeks' time, I've got Vinnie Tartamella on, and we'll be going into the woods. Don't know if that's a good thing or not, but we will be. We'll be going into the woods.
Into the woods with Vinnie.
And next week, Stato will be out at the chat and sitting here with me, and we're going to be going through every installment of the Halloween franchise. We'll be talking about all the kills and all the inconsistencies, all the fun. All the boredom as well, because there's a lot of boring bits in a lot of these movies. Yeah, we'll be covering.
I'll be interested to hear what you guys think of Season of the Witch.
Yeah, spoiler. I do like Season of the Witch. Yeah, so
it was. Yeah.
It's going to be.
I'm not going to
be an interesting one.
I won't make you talk about it now and ruin your entire show.
If I was to do a comic book adaptation of any of the movies, that's the one I would probably do. Season of the Witch. That's the one I'd go for. There's lots of stuff.
It'd probably be the most interesting one to do.
Yeah,
visually, there's not a lot of action going on in the other ones. Really, lots of Anyway, sorry, I don't want to start talking about that.
Yeah. We'll take a stab
We'll
at
take
it.
a stab at it.
Done started. Boom. 3 is the best after the first, right? Yeah, that's that. Yeah, no. I've long thought 3 was a really good film. But so that's next week. That's me and Stato, Willie and Stato at the movies, and then we're going to be taking Willie and Stato at the movies in a different direction as well after that. So it's interesting and exciting times ahead. Yeah, and then we'll just probably go back to the same stuff again. No, we're not actually. We're going to be doing Planet of the Apes after that.
Oh,
yeah!
fantastic.
So that's going to be a fun one. So that's a full slate for the year. But
awesome.
Right, but right now, if you're coming late, or if you're just finding this on the web, on the old YouTubes, and you've managed it this far, you have been inside the mind of both me and Peter Gilmore tonight, and I've had a great time. So thank you very much, Pete.
Yeah, no, same. Thanks, mate. Brilliant.
Right. So everybody that's been in the chat, and one or two people stopped by that didn't pop the chat as well, I could tell. Thanks for dropping by, and I'll see you next week with the mighty Stato and Michael Myers.